Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Dan from Southpaw Computing here today, and on the bench we have a GS9000L, very similar to the GS9000 that we did, but this one here does not have the GPS component of it, where the other one did. So let's get right to it. Let's get the unboxing going. Okay, so what do we have in the box? We have our completely useless manual here, so throw that out. We have the USB cord for the computer, suction cup mount. Now mind you, the one that came with my GPS unit here, it pretty much failed within not even 2 weeks and no more GPS component. I actually had to plug it in directly into the camera to supply power to it. So these suction cups are absolutely atrocious. Surprisingly, we got the standard HDMI to mini HDMI connector here, our cigarette light adapter to USB for power for the unit, and of course the actual camera itself. Now, an interesting side note here, for some reason it's got a DM7000 model number on there. I don't know why it says that, because obviously we have the GS9000L, so we're going to have to see what's up with that. Okie doke, let's see, what do we have for memory? We're going with this Team 32 gig micro SD card, and let's see what we got for menu options. Whoops, we forgot to do a quick rundown of what the camera looks like here. So pretty much exactly like the GS9000. We got on top the AV out, USB, the power, the camera mode, and then the OK button, mode, and selectors. Underneath we have the reset button, nothing special. In front of the camera we have the nighttime LEDs, which 9 times out of 10 are completely useless on all these cameras. And yeah, let's get the memory card and power to this unit. Okay, the unit's on, and obviously it's already started to record, so let's go ahead and shut it off by hitting this button here. And it does look rather different compared to the GS9000 that we had prior. This is going to be actually pretty interesting to see what the menus look like. Alright, so it looks like all the menus look exactly the same like our GS9000 here. So let's go through it really quickly and to see what we got. On resolution, you have your 1920 by 1080, the 1440 by 1080, the 720p setting, and this standard VGA setting. Nothing else too spectacular about that. I like putting it on the 720p setting because typically that's all these cameras are really capable of doing. Our time loop for our recordings, I'm keeping that at 3 minutes. Exposure, I'm going to leave it at default to see what it does. Motion detect, whether or not you want it watching while the car is off. Audio recording, whether you want this recording audio or not. And the date stamp, whether you want that on the screen as well. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so in the second menu here, we have date and time. So let's go ahead and set that really quick. Auto power off. Basically that setting is set to off. We can keep that on the off setting there. Beeping, whether you want that annoying noise. Languages, obviously your languages there. TV mode, what you want to set it to, either PAL or NTSC if you're plugging directly into it. Frequency range here, 50 Hertz or 60. Image rotation, I think that's new. We don't need to do that. Whether or not you want the G4 sensor to be on. Lamp setting. I'm not sure what that is. We're going to have to play around with that. Maybe it refers to the LED lights. Format this card. Oh, look at that. It must have a little buffer for the internal memory, but we're going to format the SD card there. Default settings, whether or not you want to revert to that. And this one here is telling me what version the firmware is, and it looks like it's from 2014. Okay, I think that's it for the menus there. So you also have your other modes, obviously the still camera and also playback mode. We don't need to get into that right now, but that's it for now. We're going to put it into the car and see what kind of image quality we get. So we'll be right back. Alright, so as you can see here, we got our daytime shot here. It's a rainy day, unfortunately, but we're recording in the 720p setting on this camera. As always, when we try to do 1080p, it's not actually 1080p, it's just 720p stretched out to the 1080p resolution. But
what we expect here is pretty much what we get out of all the cameras of this caliber, between the $10 to $50 range. Nothing too special. It's clear as it's going to be. You can see what's going on, no problems with that. Making out license plates, however, once they get about 15 feet or greater, it's really difficult to make them out. Matter of fact, sometimes even when the cars are right in front of you with the fisheye lens, makes it rather difficult to read out license plates. Okay, and here's our nighttime shot. Unfortunately, I wish this was the default setting, but we did have to place it at +2 for exposure to get this kind of quality. It still has a tough time when it's pitch black. The +2 exposure makes this at least viewable during nighttime hours, so you can see at least what the heck you're filming around your surroundings.
Alright, so we're back. So what do we have here? Let's start about the things that I did like about this camera. For starters, the quality that it produced at 720p was actually very decent. It's very typical of what we find with the cameras. Not the best, but still very good. The microphone on this unit was actually pretty excellent. I didn't mind listening to the playbacks without any issues, no overdriven bass or treble. So now to the things I did not like about this unit. Number one, no GPS. You could get the same model of the GS9000 that has the GPS tracking built in, which is actually a pretty cool feature for it. It's not 1080p. As much as this camera likes to advertise it, it is definitely not. It is the 720p resolution stretched out to the 1080p res. This camera doesn't record in H.264 video compression format. What it does produce is a motion JPEG AVI file, which is fine, but it makes the file significantly larger. You get less time to record with. The next thing that I didn't like about this camera was the low light recording. I had to bump up the exposure to +2 just to make it decent. If you're in an area with a lot of lights and as well as cars and well lit signs and all that fun stuff, then sure, this camera will be a performer. But if you're driving around in backwoods or there's nobody in the highway, it's going to be very difficult to see anything even though your headlights are lighting the way. And last but not least, this terrible suction cup for these devices. This is by far the worst one out of any camera that we've ever seen here. So you couple that with its price and all these negatives, I'm going to say pass on this one. Do not buy this device. There's plenty of other cameras that you could get in this price point that will do pretty much the same thing and perform better at night, have a better suction cup amongst other things, and will also do the H.264 video compression to maximize the storage on your SD cards. As always, folks, if you like what you see here, do us a favor, like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, join our forum, do what you gotta do. It would be greatly appreciated. This is Dan from Southpaw Computing, and as always, folks, until the next time.